Welcome to Catching Sunshine, the podcast where we talk about joy, purpose, and new possibilities, even when life throws curveballs. When life drops something unexpected or just downright messy in your path, what do you do? Do you crumble? Do you push through? Or do you somehow get stronger because of it? Today we're talking about what it really means to become anti-fragile. So the next time life turns up the heat, you don't just survive it, you thrive through it. You're listening to Catching Sunshine, episode 40. Hey, my friend, I'm glad you're here. If you're new, welcome. And if you've been with me for a while, you might remember an earlier episode I did called No Pressure, No Diamonds. It was episode number 34. If you haven't caught that one, it's a great companion to this one. You can go back and listen to that later. It was about how pressure can shape us into something stronger and more beautiful. Well, today's idea takes that one step further. It's not just about surviving challenges, it's about benefiting from them. It's about becoming anti-fragile. In his book, Anti-Fragile, Nassim Taleb explains there's a big difference between being fragile and being resilient and being anti-fragile. If you're fragile and life hits you hard, you break. If you're resilient, you can withstand more pressure, you bend, you endure, but over time you still eventually break. But if you're anti-fragile, that means when life hits you hard, you actually get stronger. Let that sink in for a second. The more life challenges you, the stronger you become. Even trees know this. When the wind pushes against them, they don't fight it, they flex, they root deeper, and that's what makes them strong enough to stand tall when the next storm rolls through. Taleb says it this way: a wind extinguishes a candle, but fuels a fire. The fire actually wants more thrown on it, more wood, more logs. It's fueled by challenge. When things get hard, I like to find one simple phrase that brings me back to center. You've heard of Om used in meditation, right? Well, when life gets bumpy, I think in Oms. OMMS, obstacles make me stronger. Now, I didn't come up with that. A lot of people have talked about that and written about that. But maybe you want to try that as your mantra too. I mean, it's a good idea in theory, right? Obstacles make me stronger. But real life is where it gets tested. And thinking about this reminds me of a scene from my junior high days that still makes me smile, and it's a great example of this. Now, this was junior high, like I said, so it was a long time ago for me, but I remember it clearly. Every year, our band would travel to a neighboring town. It was our big rival, to march in the rodeo parade. And there were a lot of horses in that parade. As you can imagine, it was rodeo week. And now maybe it's just my imagination, but I swear they always put us right behind the most horses on purpose. They probably didn't really, but it seemed like that. So there we were, marching along, trying to play our instruments. I was a flautist. That's just a fancy way of saying I played the flute. So we were marching along, playing the songs, and also we had to be dodging piles of, well, let's just say road obstacles. We had to walk and keep rhythm and stay in formation and hit all the right notes at the right time and watch where we stepped. It took focus, awareness, and a sense of humor, actually, because if the person in front of you stepped in a messy spot, you were officially in the splash zone too, and playing the music wasn't the only challenge. Oh my gosh, that was comedy gold for us back then. And you know what? We learned to adapt, and we got better at paying attention, and we didn't let the mess stop our music. In fact, our band even got chosen to march in the Disneyland parade that year. It was the bicentennial. I know I'm aging myself. It's okay. And although there were horses in front of us in Disneyland too, we were practiced by then, and no one stepped in any piles that day. But it's a pretty good metaphor for life, isn't it? Sometimes life just drops something big and stinky in your path, and you get to decide, Are you going to stop marching and complain about the smell? Or are you going to sidestep it and keep your rhythm and just keep playing your song? It's like that saying, the same boiling water softens a potato but hardens an egg. It's not the heat that determines the outcome, it's what you're made of. So when life turns up the heat, you get to decide, will this make me bitter or better? That choice is where being anti-fragile begins. Here's something that makes this idea even more fascinating. Researchers have found that our bodies actually respond differently depending on how we perceive a stressful situation. If we see something as a threat, meaning, this is too much, I can't handle this, our body goes into defense mode. Stress hormones like cortisol can spike higher, our cardiovascular system tightens up, and we burn a lot of energy just trying to cope. But if we see that same situation as a challenge, okay, this is tough, but I've got this, I can grow through it, our body actually responds differently. Our focus sharpens, our heart pumps more efficiently, blood flow improves, we mobilize energy rather than drain it. It's not magic, it doesn't mean stress suddenly becomes easy, but it does mean the way we see the obstacle changes how our system handles it. In other words, when we shift from this is a threat to this is a challenge, our whole body gets the memo, all right, we can rise to this. That's the biology of becoming anti-fragile. The author, Nassim Taleb, also talks about something he calls optionality. I love that word. Of course, as a possibilitarian, I love that word. Optionality means having choices, multiple ways to move forward. If you only have one plan that has to work, you're fragile. If you have two plans, you're more robust, but still limited. But if you know how to pivot, how to reinvent, how to find new ways to reach your goals, then you're anti-fragile. When one path closes, you look around and go, well, that's okay, I've got other options. That's freedom, and freedom is strength. So let's bring this closer to home. Where in your life do you feel fragile right now? Is there an area where you feel like, ooh, something not going right could really throw off my balance here? What if you could see that as a training ground instead of a trap? Maybe that difficult relationship or work change or that health issue isn't trying to break you, but it's trying to build you. Every challenge is an invitation. Again, will this make me bitter or better? And every obstacle is a chance to whisper your new mantra, Ohms, obstacles make me stronger. So here's a question for the week. Think of something going on in your life and ask yourself, how can I use this to get even stronger? That's the anti-fragile mindset. In one simple sentence, you don't deny the hard stuff, you use it. Because remember, a wind extinguishes a candle, but it fuels a fire. So when life drops a juicy pile in your path, and you know it will, step around it and keep marching. Your fire's still burning, maybe even brighter now. If this episode gave you a new way to think about your challenges, would you please share it with a friend or two who might need that reminder also? Let's spread this idea that we can all become anti-fragile, one step, one song, one road obstacle at a time. Because sometimes you just gotta march through the manure.